Hello and welcome to Produced By. Just quickly before we begin, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting it by joining our Patreon. You can choose from a list of memberships and will receive some exciting rewards. Thank you and back to the episode. Hello Mesh, thank you for
Hello,
joining
Tom.
us today and welcome to the show. It's a
Glad to be
pleasure
here.
to welcome special guests like you. So Mesh,
Thank
can you
you.
please introduce yourself?
So my name is May John Amilano. I have two names actually, May and John. The reason for that probably is that because I was born in May, and my mom named me May and John. Just the second name is John, and people call me Mage for short.
Mhm.
So I'm a senior technical animator slash creature technical director. Um, Mainly focusing on rigging, technical direction for animation, as well as pipeline. So that's me.
I think that was a lot of foreign words for someone who doesn't know anything about this.
Yeah, I
Can
mean
we?
it's just this. Yeah, I can explain those title. I mean, it's all of them are just the same. I think for my recent job back in my before I went into games is creature technical director. It's really my main job really is creating rigs for characters and creatures, and then as well as simulation, like muscles, stuff like that. So the main focus is rigging for creature and characters, but there are also creature TDs that do effects for creatures. Also in games, I'm called a senior technical animator. My main job is also rigging, but then again, it's for games. Doing rigging for characters for games, and then I'm responsible for the game system, animation system, setting those up in the engine,
Mhm.
as well as setting up the animation pipeline for games. Also, creating tools for the animators. So those are my job in the game industry. Kind of similar, but different in some aspect.
Mhm. Yeah, and can you explain the rigging? Because actually, in the previous podcast episode, there was a 3D animator,
Yeah.
and she was explaining the rigging. So I wonder, how do you explain it, or what is
Yeah. So I'll
rig?
explain it in a way that is not in a way that you know people can understand, like not technically. So imagine a toy, like a puppet. You have like pieces of like limbs that you
Mhm.
can move, and then you have a puppeteer, right, controlling those, with the strings, right, attached to it.
Like
So the
in
rig,
Pinocchio.
yes, exactly. So the rig are those strings attached to it. Those are the controls, controlling the puppet, and the rigger is the puppeteer, or the
Mhm.
animator is the puppeteer controlling the puppet itself. So the animator is the one controlling it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
rigging is setting up those controls, those skeletons, those, so that that certain creature character can move, the animator can move it.
Mhm.
So it's basically that's it. Setting up you know the the controls in the joints so that the animator can move it, can
Yeah.
transform it in space.
Mhm.
Yeah. So basically that's rigging.
Yeah. And also, how would you describe a pipeline?
Well, the pipeline is really like, if you have, I can compare it to like a pipeline, like tubes. Like if you have a water system where the water flows, you have like tubes where you can direct the flow of the water. You
Mhm.
know, like setting up the tubes. So it's similar uh to a work. Like for example, in on my side, it's the game pipeline. So it's setting up all the structure for the project. So the data flow, or I mean the hierarchy of like, for example, the animation, the rigging, the modeling, where should it go? So it's mainly like setting up the, what do you call this, the pipeline, the workflow.
Mhm.
So in my end, since I also do pipeline, I set up like the tools, and I make sure that everything is streamlined, and all the the data, all the or characters, or textures are being sent to the proper, the
Mhm.
proper department. So I make sure to create tools and optimize everything so the flow is smoother.
Mhm.
So I also do maintenance, troubleshooting, and building tools to enhance the pipeline.
Sounds quite
So
like
basically, that's how I understand it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm. And you said you are responsible of it, right?
Yes, yes.
It sounds like
So
quite a responsibility.
sorry.
I mean, it sounds like quite a lot of responsibility on you.
Well, it really depends on because we have a small team at the moment for this certain project that I'm
Mhm.
in. Um, so there are times when if the project goes bigger, and uh we tend to like hire more people to assist.
Okay.
Right now, I'm the only one doing this stuff because the project is for now just started. So
Mhm.
eventually probably they'll hire more people to assist. So the responsibility for now is on my shoulders at the
Yeah.
moment.
Okay. Okay. Before we dive into your career, can you tell us more about your background? Maybe where you come from? How was it growing up?
Yeah, I'm originally from the Philippines, so
Mm.
I'm a Filipino. So I actually started way back, like I think probably 18 years ago. I started in the VFX,
Mm.
3D animation industry. I actually graduated from Ateneo de Naga University from an animation course. We call that Bachelor of Science in Digital Illustration and Computer Animation.
Mm. And sorry,
And
where was it? You said Naga?
it's in Ateneo de Naga in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah. So I started as a 3D generalist. My first job really was I do a lot of stuff. I do modeling, I do animation, I do rigging, as well as textures, everything. I also do
Mhm.
compositing, so everything. But then eventually I'm more inclined to animation. So I focus more on doing 3D animation. And eventually after that I became a rigger, a technical animator, because I don't know, I just love troubleshooting things.
Mm.
you know I just love those challenges. So, and then I've worked in the Philippines for a couple of years, doing local films, local TV commercials, and then after a few years, I worked. I had like some freelance jobs abroad, and eventually I was hired in the UK, and then eventually I moved here.
Mhm. How was
So
the industry in Philippines? Was it like a challenging to
it's
find work, or
it
what was it
yeah. I
like?
mean, it's in terms of talent, there are lots of Filipino, artists, talented Filipino artists. But then opportunities in terms of um, work, in terms of projects, big projects, not really. Um, and I think back then it was like, because the CG industry in the Philippines not is very young.
Mhm.
That's why some of the people are not yet um, aware of the proper pipeline workflow and stuff. But then comparing to the talents outside the country, there are a lot of Filipino artists that are really good. But in terms of opportunity, that's why some of the Filipinos, some of the people there are going outside the country, because in terms of project
Mm.
opportunities, it's not that many in
Mhm.
there. And I think because I mean, salary wise and stuff like that, it's not really that high back then. So mainly I think that's one of the reasons why also opted to go out of the country.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And
but
was
pipeline wise, it's just the same.
Mhm. And is the situation similar now, or was it like that back then when you decided to move?
Now I think there are more outsourced projects coming outside of the country, going to the Philippines, because the Filipinos are being recognized already in terms of their talent.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, it sounds good. And
So
so,
yeah.
what? Why did you choose, or why did you end up in London?
Yeah, I actually started after my VFX stint in the Philippines. I decided to, pursue a career in gaming back in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I was involved. I was hired remotely in the Philippines by a gaming company in the UK.
Mm.
And I started working remotely. That was like 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
4 years ago, I think. And eventually, they asked me if I wanted to like move to the UK to be a permanent, employee. And then so I said yes. I moved to the UK. Started working for them. But before that, before moving to the UK, I was working for them for like a year already.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we decided to like move to the UK.
And
And that's
was it something common to so that they try to get the employees over, or was it you because you are talented and they saw the potential, so that's why they moved you
I
over?
think I think it's more of like the potential, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, there are lots of people in the UK or in Europe as well that wanted to, you know, to take that certain job. So I think it's because of the potential. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think I before I was offered, you know, a permanent job there, I was in a probationary, period, and I think after my probation, they decided, okay, this guy is worth,
Mm-hmm.
acquiring or moving to the UK. So I
Yeah.
think that's it. That's,
Mm. And
and after that, yeah.
yeah, sorry,
Then
go for
after
it.
that, I when I moved to the games industry and moved to the UK, um, I have this because I have this passion of creating. I really wanted to be involved in creating big projects and especially films.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like decided to like, what, I wanted to go to the VFX industry again and try my luck in applying in big companies. So
Yeah.
I did, and thankfully I was hired at TNEG.
Was that your first VFX company after you moved over?
Yes, it is.
Oh
I
wow.
actually was hired. I was actually applying for Frame Store. I remembered I was applying at Frame Store, DNEG, and Scanline VFX, and I
Mm-hmm.
think both
ILM?
both of
No.
no, not ILM. I think two companies sent me a job offer. I think, and I think I decided to go with DNEG.
Oh wow. What was the reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just that I've been applying at DNEG for so long. even when I was still in the Philippines. And I mean, I can't get through. And I was back then, I remembered I was applying at DNEG and I was like submitting CDs because we don't have like online back then, online application, online reels before. So the requirement was, compile, I mean,
Like
send your CV and send your reel in a CD,
like via
if you know what a CD
post
is.
over the post.
Yeah, via post.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I
And I was like, I was in the Philippines and I was like, creating my reel and,
Mhm.
creating my CV and then, sending it via post. And it was
Mm.
like after like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I received this email. I think that, thanks for your effort, but we're not hiring you at this moment, or
Yeah.
we're going to another candidate, and then after that I'll try again.
Hmm. And
So
how
I think
did
that's the reason why I
yeah, and how did the gaming company feel like the one that brought you over? Was it okay that then you left them for another company?
I mean I the I think I indicated in my resignation that I really wanted to
Yeah.
move
Hmm.
to. I mean, it's my personal preference back then. I was like aiming for a challenge for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I think it's fine for them. I hope.
Mhm. No, yeah, it makes
So
sense. And also, I wonder because I've never been so far or to Philippines. Can you compare what is it like living in Philippines to London? What is it like?
firstly, the weather is nice. It's always warm. It's always warm in the Philippines. I mean, it's a tropical country,
Mm.
so you have lots of good food, um, you know, beach, and then you don't have to like wear layers of clothing.
Hmm.
And then you know people are nice.
Hmm.
Those are the things that I missed in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But I mean, the UK is good as well. I mean, it's just that I'm used to like the Philippine tropical weather,
Hmm.
and I like um weathers like that.
And do you
But both are
still
nice. I mean,
come
it's
back once in a while?
I'm planning to probably next year. I don't
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, it must be very long
but I'm planning to go back. Yeah,
trip. Yeah, yeah.
it's like I think a 14 hours
Hmm.
trip by plane.
Yeah, I
So it's
cannot
really
imagine.
a long trip.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I heard that the cuisine is nice as well from someone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yep. So, can you tell us maybe more details about, what was it like? Let's start with gaming. Um, Maybe what is it like your day-to-day activities to give us an idea.
Yeah. So basically, so I start my day with you know meetings. So just to like update people, my colleagues, my leads, everyone about what I've worked uh for the past days and what I will be working on in the coming days, and what I'll be working on um today,
Mhm.
and then the goal, and then that's it. And then after that, I usually start my day with like checking emails and checking tasks if I have pending tasks, catching up with managers and leads and my colleagues as well. And then after that, since we are working on I'm actually working remotely, so I
Mhm.
need to sync up with all the files. I try to sync with all the files that I need to like have for that day, and then start working. So basically, I am responsible for optimizing some rigs, creating rigs for characters, and then tooling, which I do at the moment most of the time because I do tools for the animators. Like if they need something for the rig or if they need something for to enhance their animation, I develop tools for them. Um, and then after that, more meetings if I have meetings for the day, and then um basically that's it. I mean,
So,
that's how my day goes.
yeah, so can you expand how do you develop tools? Is it in, I don't know,
Yes,
coding, or how do you do that?
coding. It is coding. So I'm doing tools in the Maya environment. So I'm developing like tools for the for the animation pipeline. Like
Mhm.
say for example, they have animation that they need to like save and export so that it can be used in the engine that we're using. I try to like develop, optimize, or automate the manual process of exporting, the characters, the rigs, and the animation,
Mm.
so that the end product, I mean the end product should be a game ready um, character or rig that is usable for in the engine by engineers.
Mhm.
So it's basically like I bridge the gap between the art and the engineers doing their thing in the engine.
Yeah.
So the animators do their animation, do their stuff, do the art thing, and then I optimize it, get those stuff, those data, those characters and animation, and then I export it and give it to the engineers. And I make
Mhm.
sure that the bridge is smoothly without any without any what they call this issues or
Yeah, so it's smooth.
hindrances in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And just to get
because I'm
idea.
half art and half I'm half art and half technical.
Mhm. What side do you
I
enjoy
also do some
more?
animation at some point.
What side do you enjoy more?
What do I enjoy more? I actually enjoy both, really. I don't know, but I mean, I love doing animation as well because I know how to animate as well. I know how to model, characters and stuff. I also love troubleshooting things. So it's half really. I mean, I love both.
So you are the perfect person for such a position.
I don't know, probably.
And just to get an idea, can you say roughly how long it takes to develop some tools? I understand it depends
It
how
depends.
complex it is, but would it
Yeah,
be hours, days?
average is like for a simple tool. I can actually do it in probably half a day or probably
Mm.
like if it's like a tool that creates a camera rig, or I mean not a camera rig, probably like a tool that renames things, batch rename things, probably just half a day, maybe like
Mhm.
a couple of hours maybe. But if it's like a tool that like do like batch export animations, batch export rigs, it'll probably take me like a week
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
probably more than that. It depends on whether what functionalities are supposed to be in that certain tool.
Mhm.
Like if the animators or the people that will use it needs a specific feature in the tool, it probably will take more time. But average, like simple tools can be done as quick as possible.
Mhm. And when you develop
It also
some,
depends on what you know uh language you're using. So I'm using Python at the moment.
Mhm.
And it really depends on how you use it. If you are like used to using it, familiar with it, like you've been using it, it's much more easier to like develop tools quicker.
So can you choose what
Like for now,
language you
yeah,
choose, or does it depend on the company, or?
it depends on it depends because like I can do tools in in Maya. I can actually use Smell if I want to, but it's much more efficient to use Python for me
Mhm.
in the Maya environment. I can actually also use the Maya Python Maya API, which is a different story. And if I wanted to like develop tools in the engine as well, I can use C++, but I
Mhm.
don't know how to use it extensively. I know the basic C++, but not really that. I'm not really a programmer. So yeah, it depends on what you're using really. And it
Mhm.
depends on the scope of what you will be developing.
Yep. And once you develop some kind of tool, is that being used only on a project, or is it going to be reused, like, let's say, in the future on other projects?
When I develop tools, I tend to like create that it um in general to be used not only for a specific project but for the whole company.
Mhm.
The mindset is that you develop a tool that will be used not only for a certain project but will be used across all projects.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why some of the tools that I develop takes a lot of time to be to be created or to be developed, because my mindset is this is not only to going to be used in this certain project.
Yeah.
It will be used across all
Mhm.
projects, or it will be used by the company itself in
Yeah. Yeah.
general.
Yeah. And I I wonder if like, does every person who works with rigging, or I don't know, animation, or even creature department, do all
Yeah,
of them need to know coding, or
not
like,
really, not
not?
really.
No,
No.
because to me
If
coding sounds very scary, like something hard. So you've got,
it is, I
I
mean,
admire you
the
for what you do.
the first time I actually was not really, I don't know how to code really. I'm an animator. I started as an animator. And the reason why I learned coding is that I hate doing things manually. I want to like I want to automate things.
Mhm.
Like when I'm doing rigging back then, setting up the joints, renaming the joints, creating the eye case and stuff like that, and and skinning. Although skinning is not, you can't actually automate it.
Mhm.
That's why I was, inclined to like to learn, coding. So I started learning coding because of that, and eventually I loved it. So
Really? I
I
was gonna ask
yeah,
you, how
yeah,
did
yeah.
you
It's
find it? If it was challenging in the beginning or easy, you enjoyed
yeah.
it?
I mean, I enjoy, you know having challenges. I love like challenges because
Mm-hmm.
I think ch- those challenges are the fuel for me.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me to
Yeah.
work, to do stuff. Without those challenges, I don't think I'll continue to work.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So if there's this thing about me that when there's no challenge in anything, or not even work, um I tend to get bored,
Mm.
you know so it I mean, it's there's supposed to be a challenge always for me, so that's the fuel for me,
Mm-hmm.
that drives me.
Yeah. I think that's the right mindset. I agree, and that's how you
Yeah,
grow,
yeah,
how you learn, and to get better, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
can
I
you?
tend to like grab.
No,
Go on.
sorry. Yeah, you can continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I try to like, even if from time to time I like to like read books and learn more. You know, I I I always take the time to like, if I have free time, like for an hour maybe, I try to like watch tutorials or learn other stuff.
Are we still talking about like getting better at VFX and this stuff, or even?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you want to boost your online presence, check out our digital marketing agency called Trailblazed. You can also enroll in our Skillshare course called The 10 Tips on How to Succeed in Your Creative Career, which was inspired by the podcast. Lastly, make sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter called Creative Spotlight to stay up to date with the show and more. Links are in the show notes. Thanks. So, what can you give us example? What was maybe the challenging, let's say, tool or rig or something challenging asset or whatever that was hard
Well,
for you?
probably learning a new um software maybe.
Mm.
Um and it's like, because I started learning Houdini back when I was still in the VFX industry. Also Unreal. I've used Unreal before, but you know the new version, and it's been like how many years? 6 years maybe.
Mm.
I started using Unreal, and it's so different back then compared to this, what it is right now.
Oh, okay.
So it's really, it's really, for me, it's a struggle to like,
Keep up.
learn new software.
Mm.
You know, like Houdini as well. It's a different thing. It's there are terms in Houdini that is like different in Maya.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like really need to read, test it out, watch a lot of, tutorials, and do some testing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard, and also learning a new programming language,
Yeah, I
so it's hard.
yeah, but it's impressive that you're not like, oh, I don't need to learn it anymore, but you still have mindset of a learner and
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
to learn new things. So as you mentioned, ZBrush and no, sorry, Houdini and Maya. What are some other software that is being used either in games or VFX?
So we have Unreal. We also have like a 3D software similar to Maya, like Blender.
Is it a
Um,
free one?
yeah, it's just an open source software. But then if you look at Blender right now, it's mind blowing. I mean, it's almost, you know, you know, Maya's here and Blender is almost like
Really?
going up. Yeah, in terms of dynamic simulation, rigging, and stuff like that, they're up up to date and much more efficient, I think. Looking at the demos they've been showing. So
Mhm.
also wanted to learn Blender. So yeah.
And does
Um.
industry use Blender as well, or is it just like people who want to
Not
learn?
really. I
No.
think Blender is. I think right now it's being used in the industry, but Maya is still the standard,
Hmm.
as far as I know, in terms of 3D animation, rigging, modeling, and stuff like that. And the standard for gaming, I think, in terms of engine, is Unreal and Unity at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. And the one that
Other software as well that
I was just gonna say, the one you are using, if it's in the game in Unreal or
Unreal we were
Unreal.
using in gaming. I'm using Unreal at the moment, learning Unreal at the moment.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've
So
learned a lot lately.
And what Houdini? What's Houdini being used for?
Houdini is for a simulation, CFX, like if you have like clothes, hair, um, explosion and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Houdini is being used, yeah, mainly.
Okay.
But Houdini also as a rigging system, as far as I know. You can actually do modeling in Houdini as well, as far as I know.
Mm.
But the main strength of Houdini is for CFX.
Yeah. I think mate, you moved your microphone slightly.
Okay,
Yeah.
is it better now?
Yes. Perfect. Um, so as you worked in both VFX and games, can you give us some differences between, what is it like to work in these two
um,
industries?
I think the pipeline is quite similar. I mean, the workflow is quite similar. The main difference for me is that in VFX, you have rendering. I mean,
Mhm.
you get to like render light stuff and then render it. You need to wait for the render to finish, right? But in gaming, you have the engine for that. So minus the rendering in Maya. So
So,
I think
so,
that's the main difference.
so how does it work in games? You don't render? You can see it like immediately, or how does it
Yes,
work?
you don't really render in games.
Oh.
The engine handles it. So if you have like a character, an
Mhm.
animation, you import it at the engine and it like um code
Yeah.
the basic structure of the system and how if you like have three movements, like you have run, you have idle, you have like walk, jump, you piece it all together in
Mhm.
the engine and you have a character that is moving, and you have that it can be used in the game already.
Mhm.
In terms of um compared to the VFX, in the VFX industry, you need to, like, after you created the animation, the model, stuff like that, you need to render it and composite it, right?
Mhm.
So that's the main difference.
And it sometimes takes a few hours, right?
If your animation, it depends if it's an animation or a simulation or what have you. Because if it's a simulation, like maybe muscle simulation, it's a long wait,
Mhm. Yeah. I can imagine.
and you need to like render a lots of layers for it, right? So it's not enough that you like output an animation that is moving, a character that's moving with texture and stuff. You need to like render layers of
Mhm.
stuff, for the compositor to like inject all of those layers in one output.
Yeah. So, what are some assets or shots, or can you give us some specific about what you worked on? Maybe what's like on your portfolio so that you can share it publicly.
Um, what have I been in the VFX industry?
You
Is that
can you
it?
can say both.
Well, in the gaming, I haven't got anything yet that is worth showing, I think, for now, and I'm not allowed to share it.
Mhm.
I think for the VFX, the recent project that I've been involved in was the movie The Flash.
Mm.
I think it's okay to share that because it's already out, I think.
Mhm.
So I did some muscle simulation for Barry, the main character
Mhm.
for that movie. So it's like I'm doing the rigs. I mean, I've done some rigs for the character, but the main thing that I've been doing in the Flash was setting up the muscle system, the muscle, for the character. and as well as the last part that I did for that movie was doing shot sculpt, a lot of like shot sculpt to correct some poses in some scenes. So yeah.
So is that? I was gonna ask you, what is shot sculpting? So is it like correcting?
Well, shots, yeah, it's basically just correcting some, like if you have like a finished, not really finished, but like a shot that has an animation in it, and the framing is already good, and it's already timed, but then there are like some penetration stuff happening that they're
Mhm.
being that is seen in that certain angle or shot. You need to correct that, and you
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
shot sculpt it
Mhm.
before rendering it out. So it's just basically um sculpting, like tweaking the vertices of like the 3D model, and
Mhm.
then correcting it to avoid those issues, to get rid
Yeah,
of the issues.
yeah, yeah. And what's the difference between the spans of time you spent working on a project when it comes to VFX and games? Is there, for
Well,
example?
I think, yeah, well, I think um it's much more in terms of work. I feel like it's more intricate, maybe. It's I mean, in terms of details, you need to be more detailed when you're working in the VFX like film,
Mhm.
because you want to avoid spotting things because it will be shown in a big screen, right? you
Mhm.
know and once you spot things like penetration,
Yeah.
and that makes the film or that certain shot unrealistic, that's a failure.
Mhm.
Right? So you need to be more like, you need to like put all your heads together and preview that certain shot every time, and
Mhm.
spot you know things that oh, there's a penetration there, there's like
Yeah.
some issues going on in the hair and whatever. Compared to games, you know as long as you have you know the character moving when you press like forward, or you press hit and it punches, and it you know you feel that it's you're controlling the character. It doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
um but games now are also much more detailed in terms of how it looks. But I've seen a lot of games where you play some character, and you like see some things going through his chest or his head or whatever. So as long as, I think for me, as long as the game is you know you can
Yeah.
control it, functional, and you have the gameplay um ironed out, everything will be okay, everything will be fine.
Mhm.
But in films, no. If it's not, if you're aiming for a realistic film, and you're putting in like a digital double in there, and it looks like it's unrealistic, it's a failure.
Mhm. I was gonna say, that the audience and the critics will notice everything. So if there is something
Yes,
wrong,
yes, exactly.
you will hear it for the rest of
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. And for the rest of your, for the rest, as long as the movie is out there, you will hear it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. So what are some films with your favorite films with VFX that you enjoyed?
Um, The Matrix. Well,
The
I
latest one.
like. I mean, not the latest one. I mean, the latest one is okay as well. But
Yeah,
when I saw the first Matrix, I was really blown away. I mean, not only with the VFX, but the storyline itself.
yeah. Hmm.
You know, I
Was it
even
when it came out?
named
More than
99 1999, I think. I don't know.
yeah.
I forgot. I think 1999. I mean, I even named my son after Neo.
Really? Is your son
My
named
Yeah,
Neo? Really?
my son is named Neo.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
Neo.
cool. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My firstborn son was is named Neo.
Hmm.
Also, I have a dog back in the Philippines, and we named it Morpheus.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So
Is
I
your
like
second child also called
no. My second child is named Ken. I
oh, from
think
Barbie?
my
No.
no. I think it's supposed to be Kenji. Kenji. I
Mhm.
think Kenji. I think the meaning of I don't know. I'm not sure if it's correct. The meaning of Kenji's second born or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So his name is Ken.
But the Neo
I mean,
sounds
I
great.
don't think my yeah, yeah,
And
it
also,
is.
I
I mean, I
don't.
don't think my wife.
No, I was just gonna
I
say
don't think my wife will allow me to name another character from the Matrix. So,
I was just gonna say that I don't know anyone called Neo. So if there's like one called Neo, everyone will remember, and it will
yeah,
be very
yeah,
remember like the name that people remember. Yeah, so it's cool. And because I asked that, I think when I saw Matrix, it was a few years after it came out. So I can imagine if you watched it like I don't know 99 or 2000 shortly after it came out, it must have been mind blowing with the effects and everything. So
yeah.
it's really
I
cool.
mean,
Yeah.
I love the scene there where Neo dodged the bullet.
Yeah. Like...
That was the first in VFX back then.
Mhm.
They're the first to do that, like that effect where the slow mo and the camera is like
Yeah, wasn't
you
it
know
like with plenty
moving
of
around.
cameras around him? Or
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
I've seen the behind. I mean, the behind this, behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's really amazing, you
Hmm.
know, and the fight scenes as well. It's really
I
cool.
agree. I And what about some more recent films? Is there something?
Well, what films did I watch recently? Apart from The Flash is great as well. I mean,
Mm.
I think um,
How did you? Sorry,
what else?
How did you like the work you did in the film? Was it like, oh yeah, this is my work. Well done, Maish.
Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting to see my work in the big screen,
Mm.
and like seeing my name.
Yeah,
Like
uh,
I saw your name as well.
but it
So I
my
mean,
name
yeah, I think your
it
name is there. I think.
in Flash. Is it no?
Hmm.
No,
Is it?
because the fun fact, I worked on it, but it was such a short time, and I was still learning, so I wasn't expecting that. So I might check as
I think
well.
your name is there. Your name is there. I've seen it
Oh my god!
because I've
If it's
yeah
true,
you
that will be.
yeah I've seen your name.
Oh, I will have
I've
to
seen your
check.
name because
Okay.
I have a copy. I've watched it. I've watched it in the cinema. I also watch it in at home, and
Hmm.
I'm waited for the credits, and I think I'm like 90% sure I've seen your name.
Okay, I will have a look, and if that's correct, that will be awesome because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So yeah, so The Flash. Yeah. What else? What movie? Because I'm not really going out to watch a lot of movies nowadays.
mhm.
I tend to stay at home and take care of the kids. So yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to games, is there maybe favorite game or the game that you like
Yeah.
for what it looks like? Yeah.
One of the games that I'm playing right now is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm.
I haven't really finished it. Also, I like sports games. Like I I tend to like collect NBA 2K games back then. So I have like NBA 2K 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I only stopped, playing the game like 2 years ago.
Oh, why
Yeah.
NBA?
I don't know. I love basketball, but
Oh, do you also play
I,
outside
I
of
play
lab
back when I
computer?
yes, before when I still have my eyes, without the eyeglasses. But when I started using, when my eye started, getting this,
Hmm.
issues, I'm actually farsighted, and I have astigmatism. So that's the moment when I, stop playing basketball, because I can see if the ball is far away on the other side of the court, I can't see it. I can see, the people are blurry, and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's difficult to play like that.
Hmm. So who's your favorite player or team?
Oh, my ultimate favorite player in basketball is Michael Jordan, of course, and
Hmm.
Bulls. The Bulls Michael Jordan era.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess you must have enjoyed Last Dance then, the documentary on
Yes, I did.
Netflix.
I
Yeah,
did. I did. Yeah, I watched that on Netflix. Yeah.
I agree. I really liked it too. That's cool. I didn't know that you are into basketball.
Yeah. I mean, Filipinos are more into, like, they love boxing. Number two, they love basketball. Number
Oh.
three, they love karaoke.
I didn't expect that one. So do you also
Yeah,
like
yeah.
boxing?
No, not really.
Hmm.
I mean, I've watched a couple of, Manny Pacquiao, shows, but not really into boxing.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know probably any boxer from there.
From the Philippines?
Yeah, I know. I don't want to say it if it's wrong, but uh, it may be a different country, so I apologize if I'm wrong. But
Yeah,
I read,
yeah.
it was Riley a while ago, that there was a former successful boxer who was running for president. I don't know if it was Philippines or maybe
Oh,
some
it
other.
was Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, it was Manny Pacquiao.
Was it in Philippines?
He was, yes,
Oh,
he was actually, when he started boxing and he got famous in boxing, and then eventually he ran for as a congressman and he won, and then eventually he ran for uh as a senator and he won again, and then the past elections he ran for president, but he didn't win.
oh, wow. That's but still
Yeah.
impressive after such a career in sport. Was he
Yeah.
I don't know in the eyes of the people uh popular because his history in sports,
Yes,
or was he
he
actually
is.
good politician, or what was it?
He is very popular. I mean, not only in boxing, but mainly in boxing, because he got famous in boxing. But after his stint, I mean, after boxing,
Hmm.
he he went into, like, he became like a superstar in the Philippines. He was, you know, he was even singing. He has an album.
Oh, wow.
I'm not kidding. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
like what do you call it?
He was singing.
Renaissance man, someone who's like
I
proficient
don't
in
know,
many
man.
different
It's like,
things.
yeah, I think so. I mean, he sings, he acts. He has this. He plays basketball as well.
Mhm.
I think he founded or created this league, um, basketball league in the Philippines. It's like a similar to the NBA.
Oh, wow! I will
So
need to have a look at
yeah,
him. I didn't know. That's cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a like a jack of all trades, man. I mean,
Mm.
he sings, he acts,
And
he is a politician.
do you want to share your opinion if you see him also positively as a politician?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think he's good in boxing. That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not really sure. I'm not really a fan of what he's doing other than boxing.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but he's a good guy.
Sounds cool. Um, Mesh, important question. From your
Sure.
experience, can you share some advice from your career or tips or something you would tell to younger Mesh to focus on?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my advice is never be afraid to fail. you know, because if you're afraid to fail, you'll never succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my life, that's my, I think, what you call it, a motto or my mindset, because I never stop, learning. I never stop trying, even if I fail. I because I've told you earlier that I've been applying at DNEG for several years. I really wanted to make films and be part of a big, and on those failures before was like was a fuel, was a it drove me to like
Mm-hmm.
pursue it more. So really, my advice is never stop trying and never be afraid to fail, because those failures and those challenges are the fuel for you to be successful
Mm-hmm.
in life, not only in work but in life.
Yeah, yeah. It's always nice to hear something like this because
Yeah,
when you apply for a position, most of us end up in such
yeah,
situations. So
yeah,
it's good to hear that it doesn't happen only to you, but it's something
yeah.
that most other people need to go through.
I mean, it's scary, I mean, for me, from coming from a different country, coming from Asia, coming from the Philippines, and then you know pursuing something, globally, and
Mm-hmm.
then talking to, I called them my idols before in the VFX, because I've been, watching films and was like, when will be the time that I'll be included in this, this is my dream. I really wanted to be part of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's really scary, during my time being interviewed in my first job in the UK in the games industry, was really scary because
Mm-hmm.
they were asking about my experiences and stuff. But you just need to be, confident and believe in yourself that you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
and don't be afraid to fail. Because there are people that, once they fail, they stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good habit. If you fail, that means you need to, grow more. There's still, space, a slot there for you to like develop yourself, so that the next time you apply, the next time you take the challenge, you already are prepared and you have that, arsenal. You have that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you learn from that, from your past mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you
yeah,
never
that's
know
it.
if you fail and someone who gives up, you never know if just the second one, maybe the
Yeah,
one that gets you in, or the one who would be successful.
yeah.
Mm.
Always take the risk. Life is short,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
make the most out of it.
So also, what would be your dream project? Uh, if you can either say a specific one, or maybe in VFX, would it be for some favorite
Mm,
director or type of film or anything?
yeah, well, my dream prod back when I was still in, starting in the 3D animation and VFX, my dream really was to create a full length 3D animation movie, or to be part of a big film. Um, uh, the movie that inspired me to have that, dream is, Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah,
When
of
I watched,
course.
yeah, yeah,
I
because
loved
I
it
really
when I
my
was a kid,
yeah,
or still.
because my dream before was to be, to be hired at Pixar. That was my
Hmm.
ultimate dream before, when I started, um, learning animation. And it was to actually being at Pixar and being an animator at Pixar and doing a film, a 3D animation film, or being at DNEG and doing big VFX movies and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I
So
think
now you ticked
the
off
other,
one, you can go for the
I
second
think
one.
the one, and then I don't know. There's still time, I think. So I
Mm.
don't know. I mean, I can still pursue it if I want.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I loved Nemo when I was young, and I still think it's an amazing film after so many years.
I actually cried when I was still little watching that movie.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It was really nice. And I've got one. I call it a deeper question, which is,
Sure.
if you had it will be maybe similar to previous one, but if you had attention of all the people in the world and you could share one important message or some kind of idea, what would you tell them?
Well, it's a hard question, but probably I will if all the people have my attention and they will give me like a chance to speak, I would probably say take time to, go back and say thank you or probably I love you to your parents
Mm-hmm.
or your family. Because I think I haven't got the luxury to do that. And it's I mean I don't regret it, but um I got so busy with all the stuff and all the things that I forgot to, you know, I have a family, I need to like connect because when everything fails, when everything, crumbles down and you don't have your career, you don't have your wealth, fortune, it's always your family, your parents that will, go back and take care of you and will help you. So, you know,
Yeah.
always go back and say thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll probably tell the people to always remember that not only your family, not only your parents, but the people that help you uh, grow and um, help you to get where you are right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's can only agree. It's a great message. So, lastly, Mesh, where can people follow you, or do you want people to follow you or to see your work?
People can follow me on LinkedIn. Maybe I don't have any other account. I have a Facebook account, but I don't use it for for work. I they can follow me on LinkedIn. I don't post much, but people can always message me and ask questions.
Mm-hmm. Have you got
Because
your?
I forgot. I was going to say that I forgot that to tell you that before I became a professional, VFX, artist and technical animator, I was teaching, kids. I was a teacher. I was
Really?
teaching 3D animation. Yeah, at school. So yeah.
And
What was the question
how?
again? I forgot.
No, it was just where they can follow you. I was just gonna say that
Yeah. So
I will share the account
yeah. I mean,
if people want
yeah.
to reach
You can
out.
follow me on LinkedIn. So even after my teaching stint, even when I'm not teaching anymore, some of my students are still messaging me asking questions, and I encourage that because also when you ask questions, you get to grow and you get to learn a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's one I think that's one tip for me.
Mm-hmm.
Never be afraid to ask questions. If you
Yeah.
wanted to learn, if you wanted to expand, if you wanted to grow, always ask questions.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And
So LinkedIn, yeah.
how old were your students? Just to get an idea.
Some of my students are already working abroad. I think one of my students is working as a I'm proud of him. I'm is working as a lead technical animator at Sony.
Oh wow, it sounds
Is been
great.
He's been making films before,
Mm-hmm.
even before me.
Yeah.
So he's one of my students. Yeah.
And is that
And some of
something?
my students are working also on other, industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And is that something you were passionate about, and that's why you did it, or like you had to and you had experience, so you went for it?
Teaching, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I even today, um, I wanted to like share my skills always. I mean, I develop like I on my personal time I develop tools for rigging, for animation, and I'm planning to like
Share it.
you know share it for free.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's also one of my passion to like teach or share knowledge. So yeah, so that's why I was involved in, I became a teacher before.
Mm. Yeah, it can be always a plan B once you get
Yeah.
tired of working in VFX or whatever.
Well, to tell you frankly, if ever I'm, tired already, or I wanted to like retire already, I wanted to like just go back. Probably if I have money, I'll buy a resort somewhere in the Philippines probably. Just stay there with the family, or stay there with my wife,
Yeah.
or my kids are abroad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't plan to work after I retire, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Or probably just teach. Teach, yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Share
Yeah, it sounds
knowledge.
like you would be a nice teacher. I can imagine that students would enjoy, studying with you.
Maybe, yeah.
Cool.
You can ask my students if they like me.
For honest feedback. Cool, Mesh. I think we can finish it for today then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you so much as well. It was a pleasure to catch up. I found
Yeah,
out
it was a pleasure
a
for
lot
me
of.
to be part of your
Oh, thank you.
podcast.
Thank you. And
Really an honor.
you shared some great wisdom. It was also nice to get to know you more because I didn't know these things before. So it was great to chat more.
Cool.
So thank you, Mesh.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app, get in touch to provide your feedback, or share any ideas for future guests. Thank you and see you soon.